Let's walk through ProhostAI's task management system and how you can actually use it day to day. This is one of the core parts of the platform. It's where you manage operations, track maintenance, and coordinate your team without things slipping through the cracks. So first I'll show you where everything lives, and then we'll go through the key features and how to set them up. So starting here on the web app, you'll head to the tasks dashboard using the checkmark icon in the sidebar. If you're on mobile, there's a dedicated task tab in both iOS and Android, which is what your field team will mostly be using. Just a quick note, some of the more advanced configurations like automation or auto assignment will only show if you have the right permissions. Now for manually creating tasks, you can click this create task button up in the top right, or you can click this plus symbol here and create a task this way. So when we click here, you can fill in the task name, the task description, customize all of these settings like the listing or the date or the category, or you can add an assignee, and you can also add an attachment if you like. This initial page here is a reporting page for all of the tasks. You can look at it in list view, daily view, calendar view, and map view to see where all of the tasks are located. You can also use this filter option here to filter by due date, keyword, status, priority, source, reservation phase, listing, department, assignee, or task category. You also have the option to export this list of tasks. You can set a date range and export as a CSV or a PDF. Next, we'll go into the subtask template section. This is where you start to standardize your operations. So if you go into the subtask templates tab, you can create reusable checklists for common workflows, for example, a pre-arrival inspection or a maintenance routine. So you define all of your steps once and then just attach that template to any task going forward. And using this camera icon and picture icon, you can choose whether the task requires a photo upload, or you can also add a reference photo in case that's needed for them to understand the task. So once you've created task templates, you can use them for either your triggered or your recurring tasks. So triggered tasks are based on booking events. For example, you can automatically create a task one day before check-in for something like setting up a welcome gift, or a checkout task for putting the bins out. Recurring tasks are for ongoing maintenance, things like deep cleans every 6 months or smoke detector checks monthly. So in the triggered task section, I can click add triggered task, and I can import from a template or create one from scratch. Here we can set the trigger, and here we can set the due date offset. For example, if I select check-in, I can select I want this to occur 2 days before every check-in. You can also choose whether that triggered task is specific to a property or whether it should be done for all properties or a group of properties. So in this recurring task section, you can also import a subtask template. You can create the task and then you can choose when that task reoccurs. So the examples we have in here are gutter cleaning and pool cleaning. This one's set to daily and this one's set to monthly. And for any of these tasks, you always have the option of automated assignment. So instead of manually assigning every task, you can create rules. For example, anything tagged as plumbing goes to maintenance, or anything inspection related goes to your inspections team. You can set this up in the auto assignment tab and your team gets notified instantly when something's assigned to them. Select assignees, and then you can select the properties here. So similar to how it works in the cleaning tab, you can choose between auto assign and send offers. So if this task is always handled by the same person or usually handled by the same person, you can have it go directly to that person, or you can use this send offers option here. You can choose who it's first offered to, and then if it's declined, you can select who the backup assignee is. And this is where you set the delay. So after 3 hours, or if declined, send it to the backup assignee. So the interesting thing about this is that you don't have to manually create tasks. If you're on the Pro version, AI can actually generate tasks for you. So we'll just go into this AI task creation section. So how this works is if a guest sends a message like the Wi-Fi isn't working or we need more towels, the system will detect that and draft a task automatically. Same thing with guest reviews after checkout. If someone mentions an issue like a slow drain, it can generate a maintenance task for that as well. So you're not relying on someone manually catching every issue. So you would go into this section and you can select the categories that you would like the AI to be automatically generating tasks for. And just a tip for this, if you feel like too many tasks are being generated about things that you're not interested in addressing, make sure to come to this section and review which toggles you have switched on and switch them off for anything that you don't want the task to be automatically generated for. So we can also have a look at what these tasks would look like to your on-the-ground team. So here we have the subtask template, and we also have a section for attachments. So when someone opens a task on their phone, they can upload photos and videos directly into the task, which is perfect for documenting issues, showing completed work, or flagging damage. A good habit here is to require photo uploads before a task is marked complete, so you always have a clear record of what's been done. You can also use this cost sheet section here to connect a task to an expense in the system. So if you accurately track your costs in the system, whether that be for tasks or cleaning, these are values that can be deducted from the owner revenue before a statement is generated and sent to the owner. An important thing to note here is you also have the ability to share a task. That way someone who's not a team member in ProHost is still able to view the task. So here, share this task, anyone with link can view. This allows you to easily collaborate with third parties who you might not necessarily want to give account access to. I also wanted to mention how this ties into AI employees. So if you wanted to, you could hire an AI team member like a maintenance manager or a quality inspector who can run on a regular interval, scan your operations, and either create or recommend tasks based on what they find. So for example, they'll pick up on guest complaints, recurring issues, or gaps in your workflow, even if no one on your team has flagged them yet. We do have a dedicated video on how to make use of AI employees, so I'd recommend watching that video if you're interested. So just a few quick tips before we wrap up. You can assign to departments instead of individuals, so that way anyone available can pick up and you don't create bottlenecks. I'd also recommend to use subtask templates whenever you can, because that's what keeps your operations consistent as you scale. I'd also highly recommend making use of this notes section. So per property, you can add notes that will appear on every task, whether that be the code for access, the parking instructions for that property, or anything else whoever visiting the property might need to know. Like with most things in ProHost, you don't need to go in and manually update these notes one by one. You can just upload them in bulk using AskAI if you have a spreadsheet or if you have a report you can download from your current PMS. And AskAI will attribute all of the information to the correct properties and can fill out this note section for you. Once this section is set up properly, it takes a lot of the manual coordination off your plate and keeps your operations running smoothly in the background.